What up, guys? Welcome to another edition of Ghost Chat. So I watch a lot of channels that are also giving dating advice. And time again, I hear these men complaining about modern women and how they all suck and how they're not worth anything and they don't know what to do in order to keep a good guy and all this other stuff, right? But you know what dawned on me is that I think the reality that most men aren't actually willing to face is this. Is that the majority of men are not actually ready to date a good woman. And I say that because it's one thing to really think about what does a woman have to do for you and why is it these women today are choosing all these other different men and whatever. But there are actually great women out there that have a strong head on their shoulders that would be willing to date you. But the question is, if they came to you and said, I choose you as my mate, would you actually be able to hold on to them? And the majority of you guys, the answer is going to be no. Now, I try to think about a few reasons why this is, right? So for starters, a big one, honestly, is that if you're consuming a lot of content whereby you're hearing about how negative women are and how women only want the six-pack abs, six figures, yada, 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 which, by the way, I found to not be true. But if you're feeding yourself all the information, then your cognitive bias is only going to look for examples of where you're being proven right. And so fast forward to a woman comes into your life that doesn't care that you don't have six figures, loves that you have a chubby stomach, doesn't care if you don't have a car or a house or whatever. Your brain is still going to be thinking, nah, there's something's got to be wrong with her. Something legitimately has to be wrong with her because per cognitive bias, I need to be proven right that the things I've been thinking about in terms of what women want is going to be true. And so this woman coming along and saying she doesn't need those things, it's now fighting against your bias. And therefore, you're going to be more likely to try to find other ways to disqualify her from liking you. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing, though, is this, is that if your life up to this point has been without a lot of women, right, your whole focus has been on trying to get women, trying to figure out how you can keep a woman around for 2 to 3 months, get her into the bed, do things that get you to the finish line of being the boyfriend. And all you've concentrated on, therefore, is the skills you need to actually get a woman to say, yes, I'll be your girlfriend. You haven't studied up on the skills that it now takes to do the maintenance program of keeping her interest long term. And this is actually an interesting thing that I noticed back in the day when I was studying pickup artists, because yes, I think that pickup is important in terms of being able to use that stuff to get into a relationship. And so a lot of those guys were actually really great at the pickup aspect of dating. But the majority of those guys would actually lose women on the back end because suddenly, in terms of keeping a long term, women bring things to your life that are great, but also can be, I'll say, frustrating for guys who aren't naturally accustomed to thinking and or acting the way women are and or not being used to what they actually do in long-term relationships because they're not used to being in one. And so it causes men to get frustrated, to act out of anger, to yell at them. And they could have been totally calm, cool, and collected during the dating phase, but then a relationship actually comes up and suddenly dudes are like, because they don't have the skill set. And hey, when you first start out, you're not getting a lot of women. And so you're thinking that the skill set to keep a woman long-term is the same skill set that you needed to use in order to get her. And portions of that will be true, but there are going to be other skill sets that come to fruition that are going to be needed. And so you can practice some of these things. You can learn things like conflict resolution or learning how to have empathy and seeing things from another person's side. You can practice that with your friends and family. It's still going to be a little bit different, and it's going to be something you have to do on a more frequent basis when you're in a relationship. And those are skill sets that most guys don't have. So all these guys out there that are like, oh, women suck and this and that. My question to you is, but if a real one came along that had her head on straight and was all about you and wanted to be with you, could you actually keep her around? Do you have the skill set in place that would allow you to get along well with a woman, to be able to empathize with her, to be able to, handle her likes and dislikes and things that annoy you? Most men, if they're being honest with themselves, they don't have that skill set. So we could say all day, well, a woman who's 35 or 40, she must be the problem. That could be true. But also, dude, you're 35, you're 40, you're 45. You're still trying to figure out dating. You've gone through several divorces. You're still trying to, figure out how to get a woman on a proper date and what things to wear and how to smell. And like, have you figured that stuff out? Have you figured out, okay, in a long-term prospect, what are women actually looking for that's going to help a relationship last long-term? Do you have those skills? I got news for you, dude. If you don't, you could have any woman, good or bad, come along. You're not going to be able to keep her. And so this is why I have a website and I have a YouTube channel to help teach you some of these things, because it's very easy to blame women for everything and to say, well, all women are at fault and they don't know what they want. But a woman's going to come along that knows what she wants, and she knows it's you, and she likes you flaws and all. And part of you is scared because you know that if you were to actually get into that kind of relationship, it wouldn't work out. And I've been there. Hey, when I first started early dating, I was all about, women thinking I was weird and strange or whatever. And then I'd have women come along that didn't think I was weird or strange. And I didn't know how to handle it, so I had to now do things to push them away. Or a woman would come along that actually would treat me really well, and it was fighting against all these thoughts I had of women only wanting to use me for money or wanting to, just get the attention or whatever. And no, they wanted to legit be for me. And I was just like, because if you're not practicing it, you don't know what to do with it, And so for those of you guys that are maybe you haven't had a lot of women, understand there's going to come a point in time. In fact, it might be happening now. There might be women that you know right now that are legitimately, for example, showing you attraction signals. But you're so used to having this narrative in your head that women just don't find you attractive or don't make moves on you that you're not even able to see it. In other words, you don't actually know how to handle when a woman starts saying nice things to you, touching you, coming on to you, because you're just so stuck in your head. You're like, nah, that can't be a thing. It could be a thing, but you're not used to the idea of that even happening. So therefore, in your world, it's not real. And ultimately, what you think shapes your reality. So if you're thinking negative things about women, then women that come along that are showing you positive things, you're not going to see it. If you're thinking that no woman would want you because you're too big or you don't have the right job, a woman's going to come along that's going to be seemingly all over you, and you're going to think, nah, because this and this is in place for me, and I know women don't like that. And I need you to stop blocking yourself, basically. I need you to be your best cheerleader instead of your worst enemy when it comes to getting women, all right? But yeah, just consider that, guys, that you might not actually be ready to handle a woman that comes along that actually has all the things, okay? So this is why you need to start studying, whether it's my stuff or somebody else's. Start studying up on how to treat women, how to keep them around, and how to maintain a relationship once you actually get into it. Anyway, guys, that's all I got. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Couch Chats. Be sure to leave comments. Also, guys, on September 1st, I have a new book coming out called Stop Losing Women, and it is going to be a book that opens your mind frame to all the things you're possibly doing wrong, what you could be doing right, and the in and out steps that you need to be able to date the women of your dreams and actually keep them around long term. All right? So thanks for watching this, and I will catch you guys on the next one. I'm out. Peace.
You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high class man. You a high class man.